Okay, coaches interviews. Here at Lancaster Lebanon League, Media Day, Bruce Badgley, Andy here. Everybody knows this man, Kerry Glover here, Columbia. How you doing, my man?
I'm well. How about you?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's basketball season, isn't it?
It is.
And for you and how you approach the off season and how you're using your off season program as momentum to your in season program. Talk a little bit about that.
So off season this past summer, I put the guys over in the Bonnie Grimes League, adult league over in York, where get beat up a little bit, see how well they respond, see how much fight they can put up. They did a good job this summer. I think it paid dividends for this present season that we're just now starting. Obviously, small school, low numbers. It was tough getting guys in the gym consistently over the course of football season because I believe all but maybe 3 guys played football. But they know me. If I got one, I'm gonna show up and we're gonna put in some work. So that's what we did.
Well, good. And so did you think that your team? You said, hey, we're going to put these guys over there and they're going to get beat up. So is that just meaning to say that you thought that you needed to improve the physicality of your team moving forward?
Not really. For me, it was more so getting different looks that I know we won't receive from our JV team when the season starts, from even picked up a couple games at the Nook Summer League, did a couple different shootouts over the fall, but you're not getting. I mean, Warwick did a outstanding job with their shootout, but you won't get the type of competition that we saw in the summer league. You got guys from that plays overseas, Division II, some lower Division I guys, things of that nature. You're just not seeing that consistently. So it was something that was good for us.
It's interesting. I think good coaches try and do what you're doing, and I can only relate to experience that I had with Coach Ross from Southern Columbia with football. Is I'm going like I saw him at a 7-on-7 here in the Mid-Penn Conference, and I asked him. I said, "Why are you here? You don't run this style of play and what have you." And it was all because he needed exposure against that style of play for not only his team but his coaching staff.
Right.
And so obviously the same philosophy that you have, and it's pretty interesting on the basketball side.
Yeah, and really to ducktail right off of that, I talked to a lot of coaches after games and stuff like that, and I have to be honest, the conversation you and I had after the West Catholic game was probably one of the more insightful ones I've had, not just last year, but in general. And you mentioned the only way we're going to see a team like West Catholic, which we know that's who we're going to run into based on our class, is if we would play like a Reading. Well, if Reading or someone like that doesn't want to play you, why not play against grown men, right? I mean, that isn't
next best option.
That's exactly because you have the tools, I think, this year to go on a similar type path as that.
Yeah.
And if we run into West Catholic or whoever, we're going to need to get tested, and it might have to be in the summer. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. Just knowing the group that I had, the skill was there, but just being able to withstand the long season with that group that I had last year, as them now being the leaders, was different. And guys got worn down, and just the ups and downs of a long season that it normally presents you, but not being there, but not having to be the carrying the bulk of the load was different for those guys. Now they have that experience, and it was like, okay, let's take it and let's build on it. We got punched in the mouth. Let's fight back.
Are you excited? I mean, I know everybody's excited this time of year, but are you especially excited? Because when I saw you guys play in the summer, I said I would love to know if there's 10 better teams in 3A in the state of Pennsylvania than Columbia. Like, I think you guys are really positioned to really be one of the better teams. Do you kind of feel that way? I know and you always mention it's not going to happen overnight. I got to get buy-in. I got to get kids in the gym. But, like, do you see that the pieces are there if they pour into it the way you need them to pour into it?
I do, and for me, you know how I am. I'm one of those guys where I might not sleep for a week straight. So still some old wounds that haven't closed up the whole way. So that's definitely still fresh on my mind, as always. And it's just like I talk to the guys walking in the building, and they're like, "Hey, now it feels like the season is here, coming to this. Now, like it's like okay, we got some payback, so to say, that we need to return, and it's our last go around. Let's go out with a bang."
And expectations. I mean, how good does that feel? Because clearly, and we've only known each other for a short amount of time, but clearly you're a coach that just thrives on expectations, not only for yourself but for your team. So how good does that feel this year, having those lofty expectations back at the Columbia program?
I mean, for me personally, as a coach, if you don't have high expectations, I probably shouldn't be coaching. Like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to be buddy. If that happens throughout the course of us, competing as competitors, great. But there's a dog that's in me that's my players have, and I mean we're looking forward to any and all challenges that the season will present, because we know it's going to be some rough spots, and when you have some senior leaders at the group that I have with Braylon Miller and Artie Poindexter and Jordan Poole and like those guys, names that have been around the program for quite some time now. It's like, okay.
You feel good. I mean,
feel real good.
but they've got to feel good too,
Yes.
because they know it's their time and they know that they've got to deliver. So that must make it that much easier and better for you as a coach, right?
Yes. It makes the coaching easier. And we actually, like I said, coming into the building, we were having a discussion about for the 2022 group with my son and Robert Footman and those guys. It was like the game that season, the game of basketball was just so much easier because of their experience, their resolve, their fortitude. Now this group has that. It was missing last year. It wasn't a collective effort. It was bits and pieces. But now it's a collective effort, and I have some younger guys, Braylon's younger brother, Ladarian, who goes by LD, like those guys, just, for lack of a better term, stone cold killers, and they're ready. The guys are ready.
It's great to hear a coach with this kind of enthusiasm, and but you're just father. You're ready to get after it, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm ready to go. There's no better time than this time of the year. Basketball is just, it was good watching some playoff football games and things, but it's nothing like basketball.
You're talking to an Indiana guy, okay? So I mean, that's the funny thing about it is that I got involved. Everybody thinks I'm a football guy, and I got into football because covering football because that's where the passion was in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. But I grew up with basketball being, everything, right. In high school sports, and so. That hearing that type of emotion, takes me back to when I was young and hearing our coaches talk.
Yeah. I want to ask you specifically about the section. Mm-hmm. I think this is to me, this is probably one of the more fun sections in obviously for Section 4 in quite a while, but maybe this year in particular above all else, because you have you guys who are, I think, a force in 3A. You have the defending 2A state champions, and you have Country Day, who I think is poised for some big things too. I mean, whoever wins this thing, they're going to earn it, don't you think? I mean, at least that's what I see.
Yeah. For me, it's. I feel we have to earn the section every year. One of the last 4 years, but there was always tough battles with Mennonite and. Particularly us in Mennonite, but Country Day always gives us a tough game. Walking in, getting off the elevator, we were talking. The guys were like, "Coach, why are we last?" I said, "I don't know. I guess it's just a Section 4 thing." And I'm like, you know what? maybe I'll ask them next year, start with Section 4 and finish with Section 1. Get Section 4 some early love. So I tell my guys, like, we're part of Section 4. I love our section. I think there's some really, really good players individually, and some good. All the coaches are coaches. Like they get into it. You can see the difference and the growth. And from the coaches, obviously this is year 8, so a lot of them had enough battles with to see. Okay, coach has done some different things. That looks a little familiar. And it's the game, because I'm watching film. I'm seeing what other coaches are doing. Teams that aren't on our schedule all season long, and we won't see them in playoffs. But it's like, I can find something to help myself continue to progress by watching this, and I think that Section 4 has really grown over the last few years to not just being the bottom dweller, so to say, of the LL League. And it's like, hey, we got some really good coaches, some really good players, some really good programs.
How does the Cedar Crest game from last year sit with you guys? Is that still? Because that was sort of the quintessential Lancaster-Lebanon League tournament game, to where it's a small gym, you guys are the section champs, you finally get Section 1, and sort of to underscore what you just said, why are we last? Like, what's sort of like the disrespect or whatever? I mean, how much do you guys still, again, you went on to bigger and better things, I get that. But that's an opportunity that I'm sure you guys relish and you want to get back to, correct?
Yeah, that's definitely our goal this year, is we want to make a deep run into the league playoffs, and hopefully get to the championship game. And again, for us, it's LL League is really good, really competitive, a lot of parity, but we're Section 4. Like, we want to represent well for Section 4, just so they know, like, okay, Section 4 can't be slept on. Like, don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on Section 4. So, this year we definitely would like to see different outcome. Obviously, came up a little short, but again, those guys understand what it takes now, and I'm excited to see them push through.
Yeah, and regardless of that, there are district goals and then PIAA goals, on top of that. So pushing through, even if you're, unsuccessful in Section 4, there's still other ways to achieve success for this group of players. That is an important part of, the goal setting and the emotion thing too, because it's so much emotion that goes into a season. How do you make sure that these guys have some of that emotion as you get through the end of the season, so there's something left in the tank so they can achieve these additional goals?
So for me, I try to break the season down into its own separate, different parts. We take it game by game. This is the first however many games. This is the second however many games. Now we're at the halfway point. Now we have our third quarter and our fourth quarter, and before we get into the league playoffs and things of that nature. So for me, I never look too far ahead. I never allow my guys to look too far ahead. Like, we don't talk about anything except for Tuesday scrimmage, right? And we have Donegal. That's all we're talking about. After that, then we'll focus on executive education. Just try to stick to the script. It sounds kind of cliche, but for me, that's always worked. And with that, there's always different things that I do as a coach to try to be creative when we get finished with part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Whether it may be just a pizza party with the guys, or we get some shots up and then shut practice down a little early and we have a huge game of dodgeball, things like that. Like, we just relaxed, let's enjoy it, let's have fun. We got business to handle, but you guys are teenagers, you guys are young men. Let's make sure that we can enjoy this, because 5 years from now, it's not going to matter if you had a strenuous practice the night before your 10th game of the season. But they'll remember, man, we had some fun. That was a great ride our senior year, man. We was able to get back to the top and reclaim the throne, however you want to look at it.
Sure.
Let's make some memories.
Well, good
I
stuff.
was just laughing. I mean, you asked how are they going to find the motivation. You can't be soft and play for this team.
I was going to say, well,
They're going to give a
that's
uniform
what I-
out to
that's
somebody
what I
that's
think.
sharp and soft.
It is, yeah, it's. I'm ready to throw on some shorts and get out there and.
I think I got a away uniform in my car.
Yeah.
man.
Okay.
I got
All
something
right.
for you.
Well, we'll see how that goes, but. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many different aspects to a season, and that's what I find so unique about coaches is how you maneuver through a season from the off season. I mean, and in theory, obviously, you have a lot of guys that are playing other sports, but clearly, it sounds like their main focus is playing basketball. And how they get to that particular point, and now in the season, how they fulfill their goals, has so much to do with the coach and how he just guides these guys through the peaks and valleys of a regular season, because you always have peaks and valleys, right?
Yes, always.
That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Anything else?
I think we got everything out of him that I wanted to get out of him.
Well, I think there's a lot left in the tank. But
There is.
Yeah, but listen, thank you so much, man.
Thank
We
you.
wish you
Appreciate
all
it.
the luck
Thank
in the
you.
world.
Thank
It's
you,
going to be a
Thanks,
lot of
man.
fun to watch you guys this year, and we really appreciate your time, okay?
All
All right,
right.
couple more interviews coming in the home stretch.